Welcome back to the Angels here on MLB The Show 25. And we are here at the end of the season, ready to dive into how our team did and take a look at just what the Angels did this year that led to this monumental collapse at the end of the season. Completely blowing our wild card chance that we had. We had a chance to push for that top wild card spot. We were in second place with the wild card, and we ended up missing out on the wild card entirely by a game behind the Texas Rangers. And it's even extra heartbreaking since, the Guardians and Rangers were not playing good ball down the stretch. We were just playing monumentally bad ball, and it leads to missing out in the playoffs. And there was some obvious slumping going on down the stretch. We missed Mike Trout for a good chunk of September. That's obviously a huge hit to our lineup. We've got Nolan Schanuel here, who, you remember earlier on in the season, his OPS was up into the either low 800s or I think even at one point a low 900 OPS. Ends the season closer to in the 700s, still 800, 818 OPS, but it was much better at one point. The average in OBP was much better at one point, so things just went downhill for Schanuel. It really slumped the last month or two of the season. Another thing that drives me crazy about this game is that there is no strategy setting. So in OTP, everyone knows there is a strategy overall thing. You can go into and customize it as in-depth as you want. I usually just do the overarching, my team does this, but you can go in and be like, in 2-out situations, we do this. In 1-out situations, we do this. With a 3-run lead, we do this. And you can customize it all down to very, very, very specific stuff like that. And it's very helpful for structuring how your team plays. So you could go in and tell your guys not to be stealing. You could go into individual players and tell them not to be stealing. But in this, you're just fucked. You're just screwed because Nolan Schanuel, who should never ever be stealing, will just steal for no reason, even though I'm not overly telling people to steal. He will just steal. So, unless I drop his steal rating down to 0, I guess, he will just steal nonstop. So if I want to stop that, I have to go into every single player in the entire game and knock their steal down rating if they should never be stealing. So, obviously, I'm not doing that because, I value my time more than this game does. So because I just don't feel like going through every single player and knocking down their steal to 0, because you can't do it any other way, Nolan Schanuel is going to have a 57% stolen base rate, which is incredibly bad and very much hurts the team with how much he is trying to steal. But then if we take a look at the numbers I was actually trying to look at here, Nolan Schanuel still does finish with a pretty impressive 12% walk rate if you round up and 16% K rate, so still doing what he does, 2 WARs, the DH, 24 home runs. It could have been better, but he was definitely a big part of our struggles down the stretch, considering that he's one of our best hitters, and he really struggled the last 2 months. You can also see here that Logan O'Hoppe, I believe, had the highest WAR on the team. He did indeed 6 WAR on the season for Logan O'Hoppe. Big time improvement for him this year. 6 WAR. Zach Neto behind him with a 3 WAR. Mike Trout also with a 3 WAR. If we take a look at O'Hoppe's, his page here, 346 OBP. That is a big upgrade from last season. That was something we were talking about. We wanted to see from him. I think the home runs were a bit down this year. Yeah, the home runs were down this year, and so were the RBI, which is suspect because he was hitting 4th the entire season. That's also probably a big reason why we struggled on offense this year, because the guy hitting 4th for us, who last year had 29 home runs and 90 ribbies, while being a much less productive hitter with a 242 average and a 295 OBP, this year somehow raises his average by 40 points, raises his OBP by 40 points, and then raises his slugging by 40 points, and somehow is a worse run producer. It makes no sense. But overall, we are happy with Logan O'Hoppe's progression so far, and we are hoping he can continue to improve for us. Maybe not as our cleanup guy next season, but hopefully driving in a bit more runs for us. And then we also had Zach Neto, who had a big increase this season, 750 OPS. Still respectable, but the OBP and the average we would like to see better. His problem is always going to be the fact that he has that vision and discipline that isn't the best, but it is starting to climb a little bit. 52 vision, 52 discipline. So, starting to get to respectable levels there. You could see he absolutely crushed lefties this year. His contact and power up to 89, 85 respectively, with a +9 increase to his power versus lefties this year. And he was one of the best power hitters. 29 bombs on the year, drove in 93 runs, swiped 19 bags. Not a great rate, getting caught 6 times, but what can you do? Nothing. You can't do anything about that in this game. But overall, OPS goes up. Hopefully next year we could start getting up into like the 780 range, or maybe start flirting with the 800s there at the OPS as he continues to develop that vision and his ratings against righties and lefties. And one thing I do want to mention, I will talk about a bit more once we go into talking about what we want to do this offseason. Possibly getting a better defensive shortstop is something we might want to do. I feel like a big reason why one of our pitchers struggle is because our defense isn't exactly the best. So I'm kind of thinking that we might have to move Neto off shortstop because he's not the ideal shortstop. Maybe put him at third base with that 95 arm. That would make it to where we would have to figure out what to do with Arias and Mead, because those guys didn't really perform well this season. We have Arias on another year on his contract, and we have Mead on team control for multiple more seasons. So maybe one of them is the backup. We'll have to figure things out. But Neto here, I'm starting to lean like maybe he's not the shortstop here, and we try to get a better glove at the shortstop position and really help out our pitchers when it comes to the defensive side of things. But Zach Neto, hopefully the bat can keep improving with him. Mike Trout, he's Mike Trout, had another great season, 900 OPS. He had 27 home runs, missed a decent amount of time for us. We are training. The only thing with him we're training is that durability, hoping that we can get that up and just keep him healthy enough as the end of his career starts winding down here. You can see here had a huge minus to his contact versus lefties this year. Still very respectable power, discipline, but obviously Mike Trout's going to be 35 next season, so things are going to... They're going to start really taking hits here. So we probably only have like a season or two left of like productive Mike Trout, and we have him signed for quite a bit more than just a season or two. Lamont Wade was one of our more respectable hitters this year, 825 OPS, 29 doubles, 24 home runs. He will definitely be back for us next year. I would say the 3 position players we signed the 2-year deals were him, Arias, and Trent Grisham. He's like the one who's definitely going to be back next year. The other guys could be traded, DFA'd. We will have to see. But Wade is like for sure going to be back in our lineup this upcoming season. We've already talked about Shawnuel. Zach Collins, or not Zach Collins. I think that's like the 3rd time I've called him that. I'm not talking about the Gonzaga big man here. I'm talking about Isaac Collins here, the outfielder. I have this sort of by WAR right now, so you're telling me that Isaac Collins had a 1.6 WAR, and that was this high on our team? He was 6th on our team in WAR. That is not good. That needs to improve. We need better hitters on our team. We need players to perform. Isaac Collins here, just, good season for him. I would say overall impressive, but I would not say he's like, the center fielder of the future for us either. Matt Theis was fine as a backup catcher, pretty productive. Vidal Barujan was fine as a backup defender. Dylan Carlson got hurt down the stretch. Probably looking towards, he's probably the everyday left fielder next year. That's probably where we're leaning at the moment. But Trent Grisham was just absolutely terrible this season, a 574 OPS. And, he's on the team for his glove, and I talked about wanting to improve our defense heading into next season, so, theoretically getting rid of this glove makes our team worse in center field, but his bat is just so bad that you can't keep playing him every day because it just ends up hurting the team. So, ideally we have a glove like that in center field, but maybe we do end up just playing Isaac Collins in center field. Maybe we end up trying to get somebody who has a little bit less of a glove than Trent Grisham, but can give us a bit more offensive skills in center field. But we do have Grisham signed to a 2-year contract for next season as well. with the last year of his deal. So maybe we DFA him, maybe we trade him, maybe we just roll him back out there in center field. We will have to see how things shake out in the offseason, but not exactly impressed with Trent Grisham this year. Gustavo Campero barely played, but was good in his time. Jared Kelenic was super, super, super depressing. You know, the fact that Isaac Collins was our 6th best win player is just a huge, huge indictment of Kelenic, Urias, and Mead this year. Truly, truly pathetic. Kelenic, his career is trajecting downwards very much. Did not mean to back out of that, as we now need to resort everything. So yeah, Kelenic, Urias, and Mead, all with sub-1 wars, 0.2 for Kelenic, 0 for Urias, and a negative war for Curtis Mead. I mean, it just wasn't good. It wasn't good. Kelenic had a sub-700 OPS, Urias had a sub-700 OPS, Mead had a sub-700 OPS, and at least Mead is here for his bat only. Urias is here for his glove and his bat, but I guess he was good against lefties this year, but against righties, which is obviously the strong side, not doing anything. If we take a look at his numbers against each side, he had 380 bats versus right-handed pitching, had 9 home runs, and he hit 192 while on 101 bats against left-handed pitching, had 8 home runs, and hit 317. So, huge, huge discrepancy there for a player who's playing every day, and we have signed to another year for next season at $10.5 million. So, you know, theoretically, I like his bat, but he needs to not be completely dreadful against right-handed pitching, which is obviously the vast majority of ABs that you are going to be facing if he wants to be anything more than a platoon player for us. And then same with Mead. I don't really know what his deal was this year because he wasn't doing anything against any sort of pitching. He was just overall not great. -6 to his contact versus lefties as a guy who came in here as a lefty masher this season. Not what you want to see. So Curtis Mead starting to be leaning towards maybe he's just a short side platoon guy as well. And then on the pitching side of things, sorted by innings pitched, Caden Dana was our best starter this season. A 3.3 ERA and a 4 FIP with a 3 WAR on the team. Just by far the best starting pitcher for us this year, and that is good to see. 22 years old, he has absolutely locked himself into our rotation here for at least next season, for the foreseeable future, ideally. Klassen, same sort of thing. We would like to see him keep improving. His ratings keep going up. Hopefully he can put together a better season for us next year, because I would say that heading into next season, it's McClanahan, him, Dana, and I guess Kikuchi who are locked into starter roles, simply because Kikuchi is signed for 1 more year. But maybe we try to get off Kikuchi this year because he was just so incredibly bad, and he's starting to really get hit with regression. So maybe we look to move on from him. But Dana, Klassen, and McClanahan, even with McClanahan's struggles, are locked in next season for 3 starter spots. And then McClanahan, we just need him to be better next year. Horrible -5 to his hit per 9 this year. Was not good for us, was not good for Tampa Bay. Last year he had a 4 ERA for them in 200 innings. Obviously this year was much, much worse. 5.8 ERA with a 5.17 FIP. That's just unacceptable. 193 home run per 9, that's completely terrible. And that is one of his big things. He only has a 57 home runs per 9. So we're hoping that he can improve, because we've got him locked in here for a good chunk of time as one of our key starting pitchers. So we need him to be pitching like that. And then Reed Detmers was also just not good this season. In real life, Reed Detmers is looking like one of the better relievers in Major League Baseball this season. So I'm thinking, if we go into the offseason with McClanahan, Dana, and Klassen locked into 3 starter spots, and we somehow manage to move off of Kikuchi, or maybe Kikuchi's in the bullpen for us as well, I'm thinking that I'm pushing Detmers to the bullpen, and just either maybe giving some of our young guys a shot, like maybe Kahanowitz ends up in the rotation for us this year, or this upcoming season, but I'm thinking I'm leaning towards Reed Detmers as a reliever, but at the same time, he's also a B potential lefty who's still only 26 years old. We have him for 2 more seasons, so it's like, just figure it out, man. Just pitch well for us. Every year, there's 4 or 5 pitchers in MLB The Show that are 74 overalls and have a 2 ERA and go to the All-Star game, and they're getting Cy Young votes. But it just doesn't happen for us, apparently. Why can't Reed Detmers be that guy? Why can't Dana be that guy? Why can't Klassen be that guy? Why can't Kahanowitz be that guy for us? It just doesn't happen. Maybe it's because of our defense, but, you know, we've got some options to possibly move around in our rotation this upcoming offseason. We talked about Kahanowitz getting way too many innings in the bullpen because the game still is not fully figured out, the bullpen usage, but it is a little bit better, so I guess I have to give them credit for that. Congratulations, you've improved one thing in the last decade. Golf clap, everyone, golf clap. And then Jose Soriano, who we have fully committed now to as a reliever. 4 ERA, 4 FIP, it's whatever. He had a ton of innings in the rotation, so obviously whatever he's going to do in the bullpen, we can't really decipher because there's no way to look at his stats in this game like there is an OTP and see what he did in the rotation as opposed to a bullpen arm. Very easy to see that in the show. Impossible to see that in this. You would literally have to manually calculate it yourself, which obviously I am not doing. And then Ryan Johnson was one of our best relievers this year, 1.5 WAR, 2 ERA, 2 FIP, incredible stuff. Camilo Doval, he was great for us coming over. Hobie Milner was really, really good as a lefty, but he was on a 1-year deal for us, so I don't know if we bring back a 35-year-old on a 1-year deal again, but maybe. That's another thing I was thinking, where if we move Detmers or Kikuchi to the bullpen, that they could maybe take Hobie Milner's spot as that, like, high-leverage lefty for us in the pen. Maybe that's what Kikuchi is for us this year. High-leverage lefty late in games. We will have to see. Sir Anthony Dominguez was respectable. He was good. Ben Joyce, the ERA, not good, but the FIP, respectable. It's 3.7. Giving up a bit too many home runs, though. We would like to see him, start to be able to figure out that closer spot for us, because ideally, this guy is our closer. I mean, look at these ratings. He's going up in a bunch of stuff. Had a huge increase to his walk per 9 this year. Just figure it out. Produce, man. And then Sam Bachman was like a decent reliever for us this year. He had a 2 ERA, but only a 4.4 FIP. So still respectable enough, but definitely getting a bit lucky there with the ERA. Giving up a bit too many home runs as well. A lot of home runs being given up here. Bachman's a bit too high there. Joyce a bit too high. Soriano a bit too high. Kahanowitz borderline. Detmers too high. McClanahan very much too high. Same with Kikuchi. Klassen borderline. Dana pretty solid. But, Dana was really like our only good starter on the team this season. And then on the league lead side of things, here in the American League, Alejandro Kirk gets the batting title here in the American League as a member of the Toronto Blue Jays. Beats out Aaron Judge for that. And then on the hits side is Jose Altuve with 203 hits. Doubles leader was Bobby Witt Jr. with 54, with Kevin McGonigal up in the big leagues here for Detroit, hitting 45 two-baggers for them. The 21-year-old up in the big leagues now. So they've got themselves a young player up in the bigs. On the home run side of things, it was Aaron Judge with 54, beating Cal Raleigh and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. 1, 2, 3 there. 2 Yankees in the top 3. Actually, 2 Mariners in the top 5 there as well. Cal Raleigh and then Julio Rodriguez in the 5th spot. And then when it comes to the stolen base leader, it was Enrique Bradfield Jr. of the Baltimore Orioles, absolutely lapping the field. 62 swiped bags for him. Second place was Victor Robles with 29 of the Mariners. And then Sean Noel, doesn't end up finishing anywhere near the top here. 11th in on-base percentage. Lamont Wade right behind him in 12th. So still respectable, but they were up towards the top here. But Aaron Judge does have the best OBP in the American League, as well as the best OPS, the only 4-digit one here in the American League. While on the pitching side of things, Zach Gallen is your wins leader. Who cares? Saves leader, Jeff Hoffman with 54, followed by Felix of the Orioles. Very nasty stuff here. Don't love that. ERA leader, this is what I'm talking about. Every year, there's like 3 or 4 of these guys. Cody Bradford. What the hell's this guy doing up here? League-leading 2.46 ERA is a 77 overall. Why can't Kahanowitz do this? Very similar ratings to Kahanowitz, and Kahanowitz throws much harder and has better break, I feel like. Maybe not better break, but harder and better control. Why can't Kahanowitz be this for us? I don't see why not. Caden Dana, top 10 in ERA. Love to see that. He's really coming onto the scene here for us this season. At least the home runs allowed Cody Bradford. shutouts. This is another thing with MLB The Show, is that even with custom sliders, it does not matter. They just throw these guys too long in the games because, only certain sliders affect the sim games, and apparently doesn't affect the sim games with the going deep into games. So Caden Dana here, 4 shutouts on the season. He also had 4 complete games. Max Fried had 5 complete games. Just too many complete games, I feel like. But what are you going to do? Nothing, because you can't do anything about it. And then the strikeout leader, Kevin Gausman, followed by Hunter Brown, Grayson Rodriguez, Garrett Crochet, Cole Reagans, names you would expect to be up towards the top of this list. And then the innings pitched leader was Max Fried of the New York Yankees. Caden Dana, top 5 in innings pitched. I mean, stuff in the stat sheet there. He's getting outs, man. And then Cody Bradford, also highest win acquirer in the American League when it comes to pitching, with a 4.7. I mean, a better WAR than Tarek Skubal and Hunter Brown, Max Fried, and Alex Manoah, who's good in this universe because it takes MLB The Show 16 years to update guys. And then on the hitting side of things, Cal Raleigh with a 7.8 WAR leads the American League. You got 2 catchers here towards the top with Raleigh and Kirk, 1-2 respectively. And then Aaron Judge in 3rd place with a 7 WAR even. Holiday and Julio are your 4th and 5th spots. And look at this, Logan O'Hoppe just outside the top 5 in wins with a 6.2 WAR for us this year. So him and Caden Dana, very respectable years for us, but obviously not enough to get it done as we have an all-time collapse towards the end of the season. Quickly going through the National League here, Mookie Betts with a crazy 371 average to lead the National League. 2nd place, Xavier Edwards, because in this game he is crazy, because in this game it's just very easy to be good in this game if you're one of these sort of players. MLB The Show loves making these sort of players where you have guys who they should not have 100 contact with 100 vision and discipline, essentially. This is the Matt Duffy prototype. Matt Duffy was never a good hitter in Major League Baseball in real life, but in MLB The Show, he was always like a top 5 win acquirer because he simply had high contact and high vision and was just able to game the game engine. Not that there's anything totally wrong with having a different universe, but it's just, one of those things that only exists in MLB The Show is this. You're not going to see Xavier Edwards pop off like this on OTP, I'll tell you that much. I know from experience. Also should not be their shortstop. That's 100% sure, but obviously that'll never happen. They'll just keep trotting him out there at shortstop as a 50 fielding and 50 reaction. I mean, that glove's unplayable at any position, even though, if I was to go in and go, we'll switch you to second base primary position and edit your fielding and reactions, now all of a sudden he's a 97 overall because we edited his fielding and reactions, and Xavier Edwards is winning MVP every year. But now moving on, your hits leader was Mookie Betts with 200 on the year. Your doubles leader was Jake McCarthy, atop with the Diamondbacks there. Xavier Edwards, 3rd in doubles. The home run leader was Ian Happ of the Chicago Cubs. Soto, Riley Green of the Phillies. Austin Riley and Mookie Betts all behind him. The stolen base leader was Xavier Edwards with Jake McCarthy behind him, 39 and 36 respectively. CJ Abrams of the Pirates here in 4th place. And then the on-base leader, Mookie Betts. Slugging, Mookie Betts. OPS, Mookie Betts, the only 4-digit OPS in the National League this year. And then the wins leader, 20 wins, automatic Cy Young in this game. It's the wins award because they haven't updated their AI in 47 seasons. The saves leader was Jeremiah Estrada with 52 saves. Right behind him was Matt Strahm of the Cincinnati Reds, Ryan Helsley, and then you have Jacob Mizorowski, who in this universe is listed as a reliever. I'm not going to go in and change that because I don't really care to. But his ratings are pretty much good. But then again, they are super juiced. So if I put him to the rotation and knock up or push up the stamina, he's going to be like immediately a 97 overall starter. Unless I mess with his ratings. But we're just going to keep him as is because I don't really care enough to change it. And also I should mention that it's not totally crazy that to start the year he was listed as a reliever, because heading into this year, it was very much up in the air whether Mizorowski was ever going to stick as a starting pitcher in real life. He has had major control issues in the minor leagues, And it was very much a question whether or not he was going to be a starter. It honestly still is, because what he's had like less than 10 major league starts. Obviously, it's gone very, very well. But, there's absolutely a world where you fast forward a year and a half and Jacob Misiorowski is a bullpen guy. But now moving on, the ERA leader was Corbin Burns of the D-backs. Brandon Woodruff somehow still getting it done with his not updated lineup, his not updated repertoire. Because in real life, he's changed this whole thing because he's had so many injuries that he's, obviously not able to throw as hard as he once was. But going to be interesting to see how his career goes out from here in real life. But in this, still rocking his elite Brandon Woodruff repertoire. Strikeouts leader was Spencer Strider. Skeens, Woodruff in the top 3 once again. Then your innings pitch leader was Aaron Nola, Burns, Woodruff, Skeens, Sandy Alcantara. And then the WAR leader was Spencer Strider, Skeens, Luzardo, Sanchez, Woodruff. Not anything too crazy here in the National League like there was with Cody Bradford in the American League. And then on the hitting side of things, it is Mookie Betts, Riley Green, Contreras, Bryson Stott, and Manny Machado in your top 5. And then Xavier Edwards in sixth place here with the Marlins. And then just quickly going through the award winners here in the American League, Aaron Judge gets the MVP. The Cy Young goes to Zach Gallen because he had the most wins in the American League. The batting title goes to Alejandro Kirk. The reliever of the year was Jeff Hoffman for the most saves. Rookie of the year goes to Mark O'Connor, the guy we did not take, and we opted to go with Rivera, but then, it's Rookie of the Year, so even Christian Moore, having a not good season, ends up 3rd in the voting behind Walker Jenkins and obviously Mark O'Connor. This guy absolutely would have helped our offense this year and heading forward, but, you live and you learn. We take Rivera, who I still like Rivera, but Mark O'Connor here, definitely the player we should have taken. And then on the National League side of things, you've got the MVP is Mookie Betts. The Cy Young is Tyler Glasnow because he had 20 wins. And then the batting title is Mookie Betts. The reliever of the year is Ryan Helsley of the Philadelphia Phillies. The Rookie of the Year is Drew Gilbert of the New York Mets, formerly of the Tennessee Volunteers. As we have now reached the end of the 2026 postseason here, as the Minnesota Twins have won the World Series over the Philadelphia Phillies here in 2026. So the Twinkies, don't call them that, they get it done here 4-3 over the Philadelphia Phillies. They beat Cleveland in the LCS. Philly beats Arizona in the LCS, respectively. And then go to 7 in a thriller of a World Series, and the Twins eke it out and get themselves a World Series title. The World Series MVP is the youngster Walker Jennings. Hits .357 with 2 home runs. In the Fall Classic, gets that award. And then the postseason MVP on the American League side of things is Jose Miranda. Hits .349, followed by Correa and Buxton, who both had good postseasons as well. 8 home runs for Buxton overall in the playoffs. And then on the National League side of things, you've got Bryson Stott, and then 10 home runs from Trey Turner, hitting .303. Not enough to get it done, though, as they fall to the Twins. Alrighty, so our first base coach, the contract has ended with him. We will need to replace our first base coach. And as far as the retirements go, the guys you would expect. Aroldis Chapman retires. JD Martinez never even really played. Never played. He was just been in the minors this whole time. Matthew Boyd retires. Quintana. Yu Darvish finally retires. Did he actually pitch this year? He did not. He was in the minors for them. And both Clayton Kershaw and Kenley Jansen both make the Hall of Fame here in 2026. Who care? So when it comes to players that we can offer QOs to, it's just 2 players. It's our relievers we signed to 1-year deals in Sir Anthony Dominguez and Hobie Milner. We might bring back Dominguez. We might not. Hobie Milner, I think I'm leaning toward just letting him walk and either moving Detmers or Kikuchi to the bullpen here for us this season, because I just don't really want to resign a 36-year-old lefty, even if he was very good for us. We could just move one of our starters who are lefties and could be very good bullpen pieces in to the bullpen for us. Especially since we're trying to open up starting rotation spots for possible additions to our team here this season. Might as well just go for the best guy. Cannon Irvine here, +3 durability, +2 reaction, +3 speed. Don't really care about the arm strength. We're going to go for this guy, see if we can get him. Now, as far as players that we can just look at right away and go, this guy's not going to be back for us, We do have a couple minor league players who have docked down to D potentials who we are going to be moving on from. One of them is Mr. Nico Cavadas here. We just did not really play him down the stretch because, as you can see, docked down to a D potential. He's now totally useless. You know what? I think we're going to let both these guys walk. We can still possibly bring back Dominguez if we decide to once we see who's out there in free agency. But I would just like to see who's out there before we decide to bring him back. So, you know, we do run the risk of him leaving if we do get in a bidding war with somebody, but I think we'll be fine and we'll be able to pick up an equally as good, if not better, reliever in free agency. And then boom, we sim one day. Cannon Irvine is now our first base coach here in Anaheim. You can see some big names there. Tarek Skubal hitting free agency. JP Crawford hitting free agency. These are the potential guys we have to put on our 40-man. Just right off the bat, I'm looking like Cooper Ingles probably going to be on our 40-man. Craig Yoho probably. Kelvin Caceres probably. But those other guys, I doubt it. And before we actually take a look at the full free agent list here, just quickly taking a look at our arbitration-eligible players. I'm thinking most of these guys are just going to be offered ARB. The players I'm thinking maybe won't be offered ARB and we maybe trade for somebody else is maybe Jared Kelnick, or maybe we just non-tender him because he's just that level of player at this point. You know, we traded Joe Adele for him. We didn't give up anything huge for him. And he just doesn't look like he's going to be really turning into a player for us. So I think we're leaning towards Jared Kelnick. He's either going to be non-tendered or traded away. As far as anybody else here, you know, maybe Matt Thaiss is back. Maybe he's not. I'm kind of leaning towards Cooper Ingle as our backup catcher this year, or Campero. And we move on from a guy like Thaiss, who's 31 years old, and we go younger with the backup catcher position. Brogdon, maybe. I mean, he's 32. Gonzalez is 31. We like him. So I think most of these guys, except for Kelnick and maybe Thaiss, are guys that we move on, or guys that we bring back, and then it's just Kelnick and Thaiss that we don't bring back. You know, I think we're just going to move on from Connor Brogdon. So Thaiss, Brogdon, and Kelnick are guys we won't bring back. We might possibly trade Kelnick if we think there's something that is realistic enough to do. Maybe there's somebody who could really, really use a left fielder that we could maybe get a reliever from or something like that. But Thaiss and Brogdon, I think, are going to be non-tendered. We're going to keep Gonzalez around simply because he's a lefty, and you could always use depth lefties like this who look like they could be solid players. But Brogdon's a righty. He's 32. We've got similar players that we like. Even Craig Yoho's around this sort of player. So I think we're going to lean towards letting him walk in the non-tendered phase. All right, so it's time to take a look at our big board here. I don't know, we should probably do our positional needs and whatnot first. So our positional needs, we'll go starter. See, this is so arbitrary. It should just be like starter, infielder, outfielder, or like corner infielder, middle infielder. Then I'm taking a look. We have, so I guess these guys are just asking for too much. We cannot afford what these players are asking for, so we can't go after Skubal, Crochet, or Brennan Woodruff even if we wanted to. Nico Horner, though, that's interesting. That could be a player who we move to shortstop and becomes our shortstop, and Neto moves to third base, and then we maybe figure out what, maybe Arias is our second baseman, Meade is like a bench bat for us who like plays a lot against lefties. Maybe we run more at second base and Arias is like the backup infielder for us, and then Meade's also the backup bench. Horner could be interesting. Horner could absolutely be interesting for us. I don't think we want to give Jazz Chisholm shortstop, especially since he's just dreadful against lefties. I mean, he is coming off a good season, but I don't know. I don't think we want to give him like everyday shortstop ABs because he's definitely a platoon player. Ha-Seong Kim here could be an interesting like lower tier shortstop player for us. 31 years old, coming off two not too shabby seasons here for the Tampa Bay Rays. I mean, hit 23 home runs this year with the Rays, 36 doubles. I mean, pretty impressive. 32 swipe bags the year before. Decent OBP. Way more pop this year. And puts together two really solid WAR seasons. Doesn't strike out a ton. Yeah, so Kim is definitely an option. JP Crawford's an option too. I'm a big fan of JP Crawford, although he's a little bit older than Kim. He's 32. He's coming off an 830 OPS. Not as good offensively the year before. OBP was much less. Slugging was much, much less. Yeah. But 4 WAR this season. Big time walk rate. Really low strikeout rates. I mean, he's doable too. We like that too. So, I mean, we got 3 possible options if we want to bring in a shortstop here. Nico Hoerner, Kim, or JP Crawford. And then I don't think there's really any others that are going to stand out here at shortstop. Maybe. Let me just sort this by... So, second baseman. Yeah, I don't think we want to play Tyro Estrada every day at shortstop. Brendan Lowe just not a shortstop, obviously. Yeah, I don't think any of these guys are what we're looking for here. Third base, not what we're looking for here. Shortstop, we talked about Kim and Crawford. And Mundo Sosa, I don't think we want to play every day at shortstop. Or any of these guys. So yeah, I'm thinking either Kim, Crawford, or Nico Hoerner. And Nico Hoerner is... I would say he's... 1.9. Yeah, he's definitely the lesser bat. He would be more so glove. I mean, he could pop off with that vision, but I think we're leaning towards one of the other guys, either Kim or Crawford here. I mean, I'm kind of leaning Hassan Kim, if I'm being totally honest here. I do love JP Crawford's discipline. I love his bat. I'm a big fan of JP Crawford overall. I love the purple arm sleeve. I love his look. Kim's got a pretty good look, too. He doesn't have the flow that he's got in real life. He's got some sick flow going on in real life right now. I don't know if you've been seeing any Hassan Kim over in Tampa these days, but good flow, good flow. And he's got some good discipline, too. But Crawford, I mean, it's really just Crawford is the better bat and maybe isn't as good defensively. And he's got, like, similar defensive ratings to Neto. So, like, is he really going to be as good of a shortstop as Neto at short? Or better at shortstop? Better at shortstop? Where Kim is going to be the better defensive shortstop, and he's still going to give you a decent amount of hitting. With some, like, I mean, you could, yeah, I'll take a season like that offensively again. Absolutely. Yeah. I think we want to go Kim. 5 years. If I remove him, is he going to get pissed? Let me just go look at the shortstops here again. So he wants 2 years. Kim wants... Okay. I did not even see the asks. Maybe we put them both. We put them both on as priorities here. Priority 1 and 2. And then we just kind of get their motivation up here. And then we add in the third priority as like another option for us. So we just kind of see, as the weeks go on, who we prefer. Because we can't offer either of them right now. So I think that's what we're going to go with, is Kim and Crawford both on our priorities here. And then we look at maybe a starter, maybe a reliever. I think probably leaning starter to add to the mix here. Somebody who doesn't want like anything crazy, like maybe like a 1-year Gaussman deal. That could be interesting. Really bad year in 2025, but solid this year. I think he didn't need to lead the league in strikeouts. Luzardo wants a 4-year deal, obviously. He's going to want a pretty penny here as a younger starting pitcher. Gaussman only wants the 1 year. Nestor Cortez wants 2 years. He could be interesting. Shane Bieber wants 4. Brady Singer is available. QO for Bieber. QO for all these guys. No QO for Nestor. And no QO for Brady Singer. Brady Singer not having the best... See, he had a 3 WAR the previous year. Freddie Peralta, no QO for him. He wants a 4-year deal. Okay. He was not good. Not good in 2025. He was respectable here in 2026. Oh, the FIP was still pretty good the previous year, but 2 WAR around-ish the past 2 years. Flaherty wants 4 years. Rasmussen wants 4 years. And then we're starting to get down to like the guys that I would just rather have, like Kahanowitz than one of these guys. But maybe I'm kind of leaning either I mean, Bieber would be kind of cool. Back-to-back 3-WAR seasons for Cleveland. I mean, he just eats innings. 200 innings back-to-back years. His durability's fine in this game. Doesn't walk people. I love that type of pitcher. Brady Singer is also that type of pitcher. Has some good clutch, too. I mean, Bieber's got that crazy repertoire. And then Freddie Peralta's got a pretty good repertoire, too. But he does walk more guys, but he's much more into the strikeouts than... and he just wasn't really performing as well. I think we're... Do I want to give 4 years to Shane Bieber? And he's a QO guy, too. I don't think we want to lose a draft pick. So, like, I'm thinking maybe either... I don't love the Nestor home run per 9 thing, so we've already seen how that plays out in our park with McClanahan. So I don't think I want to get another guy who has a low home run per 9, like Peralta. I mean, is Brady Singer our guy? Like, I think Bieber's the better pitcher, but I don't want to give up a QO for somebody. So I'm thinking, like, I think Brady Singer might be our guy. And hope that he can maybe tick up a bit, maybe do, like, another season like this for us, a 3-WAR year. Yeah. I'm thinking Brady Singer's our guy here. We're going to throw him out as the 3rd priority, and we'll see how things look after this first week. All right, so we ended up releasing Spencer Bivens because I didn't want him on our team this year. I thought I wanted to open up a spot in our organization, and he ended up getting claimed by the Milwaukee Brewers, so Spencer Bivens is no longer in our organization. All right, so we have the motivation up for Kim and Crawford up to 13 and 27%. Now, the thing about these guys is maybe it's not going up as much because they don't see the positional need at shortstop. So maybe we should preemptively move Neto to 3rd, and maybe that'll start going up more for these guys, because I think that's probably the smart move here. Singer, though, already up to 53%. He's rumored to be talking to the A's and the Cardinals. Okay. I mean, we could just offer him straight up right now. 4 years, maybe not 4. Maybe we give him 3, and we crank up the money to, like... Not crank it, but give him like $22 million. $22 million over 3 years. That'll be 27, 28, 29, so that is age 30, 31, 32 seasons. I'm down with that. 3 years, 22.06. Let's send him that contract and see if he accepts. I just made the first competitive offer to this top 25 free agent. I got a motivation boost. Okay. Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and we're just going to go right now, bang, 3rd base Zach Neto. So Zach Neto is now listed as our 3rd baseman. I should probably... Yeah, 2nd and 3rd, 2nd and short will make that now. So Zach Neto is now our 3rd baseman, listed as 2nd short secondary positions. And that should help with the motivation. And one of the first big free agents is off the board as the Houston Astros pick up Dalton Varsho to a 6-year contract at $23.2 million per year. Solid pickup there for Houston. And Tarek Skubal is going up north. The Blue Jays, they lose out on Vladdy in this universe. And, you know, in real life, obviously, they've been competing on some big-name free agents the past couple of years that kind of, like, you know, missed out in a bit, but they get the big one here. They get the big fish. Tarek Skubal going up north, across the border, playing for the Toronto Blue Jays here for the next 7 seasons at $38.8 million. And Brandon Woodruff just returns to the Milwaukee Brewers, so he will not be wearing a different uniform. A 3-year deal for him at $29.2 million. Don't know really how well that's going to age at age 34, but should at least be good for another season, I would say. We have a contract decision incoming. Brady Singer, will you sign? How long is this animation? You gotta be kidding me. You gotta be kidding me. They gave him the 4 years with a little bit less money, and I guess he wanted the... No, they gave him 5 years. They gave him 5 years, and for like the same money we gave him. Wow. Brady Singer going to the Oakland A's in our division, snubbing us. Maybe I should have gave him some more money to really entice him on that 3-year deal, but we lose out on Brady Singer. Alrighty, so we have found our Jared Kelenic trade. We're just doing a little dump off to the Padres here for a guy who could possibly help them. We get a reliever who could possibly help us. Alec Jacob, not exactly the biggest trade here, obviously. Kelenic coming off a bad season. They're taking a chance on him. We're getting a reliever who's like more so down on like the borderline of their roster. Alec Jacob here doesn't really pitch a ton for them, but could be a useful right-handed arm for us. We're picking him up. Jared Kelenic is going to go to the San Diego Padres here, a 77 overall left fielder, coming off a poor season. And as you can see, their left field situation is looking pretty dire. So Kelenic, we're just going to ship him off to them, give them a guy, we get a guy. Even trade. And now the motivation for Kim and Crawford are up to 45 and 50% respectively. Alright, so yeah, Kim wants that 5-year deal at age 31. So that would be his age 35 season through his age 35 season, which, the last like 2 years of that could be brutal. Whereas JP Crawford, who isn't going to be as good of an upgrade here, maybe we even just put him at third base and let Neto keep playing shortstop for us. Or maybe just we have Crawford play short. Neto still stays at third, but Crawford only wants that 2-year deal at age 32, so we get him for 32 and 33. I think he might be the smarter move here, because even though Kim's going to give us some short-term, I mean, maybe we can get away. We can't offer him a contract yet. I think we maybe hold off for another week on offering these guys, because it doesn't look like they have any rumors yet, any offers. So I think we can hold off 1 week and instead maybe try to give Kim like a 3-year deal and see if he'll go like 3 years with a little bit more money. And then if we can't, then we can go with Crawford. It might be a bit risky if these guys get offers here this week, but I think that's what we're going to lean towards doing here. As we look who else is available here, we need to get a starter. We need to get it. It no longer... Oh, so is it just like glitching out and not telling me that these guys have QOs? Or is there some like setting in this game where like you get past a certain point and QOs don't matter? Which would not surprise me at all in this game, but I'm gonna just assume that it's the QOs aren't showing up, because I know for a fact that Bieber got a QO. Okay, so I'm pretty sure it's like Bieber and Luzardo who got QOs. I don't think Gausman did. I know for a fact Nestor didn't, and neither did Peralta. But like we lost out on our guys who have the high home run per 9 or higher. Bieber is not saying he has a QO, but he does. So we would give up a draft pick if we sign him. The game is trying to gaslight you. The game is trying to trick you into doing that and screwing you out of a draft pick for your next season right now by not telling you that it's there when you sim a week into the offseason, because, why would that work? And I'm sure this is something that there is not a single dev at SD Studios is even aware of. Not a single guy that's going to be aware of this. This is going to be in the game for the next 6 years. So Freddie wants that potential 4-year deal, whereas Nestor wants a 2-year deal. And Nestor gives you the limited walks, but Peralta gives you the hits and the K per 9. He just hasn't been as good as Nestor has been when it comes to the production in this universe. Whereas Nestor's got back-to-back 3 WAR seasons with sub 4 FIPS. Whereas Freddie Peralta has 2.3, 1.9 WAR seasons and then above 4 FIPS. So I think we're going to lean Nestor here. We can't offer him a contract yet, but we're going to throw him on there as our third motivation and hope that our strategy here on waiting a week for Kim and Crawford pays off. Now or never. 5% motivation decrease. Another organization made the first competitor offer. Interesting. Big Board is close to signing. Okay, so he's close to signing. So we have to offer him. Okay, so we can offer him now. Okay, well, I'll give him a 2-year. We got to bump up his offer a bit, though, so he would, wants to sign. But we only have a 5... That's the thing, is if we sign him, we're not going to be able to sign one of the shortstops. Man. That is not good. Yeah, I think we're going to pass. So Nestor goes to Kansas City on a 4-year deal. Yeah, we were not topping that. Ian Happ goes to the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Pittsburgh Pirates spending money in free agency, picking up a player from their division in Ian Happ on a 3-year deal. And Nico Horner goes to the New York Yankees on a 6-year deal at $18 million per. Jazz Chisholm has signed with the team. He is now on the Atlanta Braves on a 7-year, $18.5 million contract, or $18.5 million per year, $129.8 total over those 7 seasons. So we have now reached week 4 of the offseason here, or free agency period, and you can see Ha-Seong Kim is rumored to be talking to the Washington Nationals. So we need to offer him right now, and we're gonna have to like bump up the money because we don't want to give him a 5-year deal. If we give him a 3-year deal, but we crank this up to like $23 million, $23.38 million over 3 years, that moves his motivation up to 60%. Would you do this, Ha-Seong Kim? We get you for your 31, 32, and 33 seasons. If we go for Crawford on 2 years, that would be his age 32 and 33 seasons, so it would enter on the same time as it would for Crawford for the age-wise. Let's do this. Stamp and send that. And that's the first competitive offer, so we get a 5% boost to that 60% big-time stuff. So yeah, I don't think we're going to add a priority 3 at the moment. We're just going to lock this in at the moment, hope Crawford doesn't get an offer, and if Kim doesn't sign with us and signs with the Nationals instead, then we're able to get Crawford, and that's the plan here. Jesus Luzardo goes to the San Francisco Giants on a 3-year, $74.8 million deal. And we have now reached the point in the free agency where once we get to the next signing point, we will be able to sign players who were just completely let go by their organization. The non-tender, or the arbitration guys are last week. We have all these arbitration offers locked in. The only ones we didn't bring back was we traded Kelnick, we did not bring back Theis, and we did not bring back Connor Brogdon. And then on the tender contract side of things, we've re-signed everybody except for Cooper Bowman, Pedro Leon, Chen Wei Lin, some random minor league guys. But the main 2 guys that you're aware of are Cooper Bowman and Pedro Leon. Bowman we claimed off waivers in Season 1. He's whatever. Never going to be anything. And then Pedro Leon, we were hoping the Pop was going to play, but he just doesn't make enough contact for the Pop to play. So he is going to be let walk into free agency as well. And it's now or never. Ha-Seong Kim is rumored to be close to signing with these teams. The Nationals. Could have sworn that we gave him a deal, but I'm gonna give him another one. 65% motivation, 3 years. It goes up 2% if we give him 4 years. Do we want to possibly risk it by getting a age 34 season of Ha-Seong Kim? I think we're willing to do that. I think we're willing to go 4 years, 23.38, and try to get the max potential here. It goes up to 71 with 5 years, but I don't want to do that. I do not want a 35-year-old Ha-Seong Kim. 34, though. We're pushing it, but we'll do that. Let's stamp and send. And the contract decision. Awesome animation game, come on. What a contract. Yes! Ha-Seong Kim joining the Los Angeles Angel. Light that baby up. I'm joining the Halos. So they're not talking about the cherub or whatever anymore. Now Ha-Seong Kim, 4-year, 23.3. So it's 4 years, 23.38 per year to be an Angel here for us. And he is our shortstop for the foreseeable future. Joe Jimenez, another free agent off the board. Aver Lever goes to the Washington Nationals on a 2-year deal. So we are here in free agency, and Andrew Heaney is calling us up. Or Andrew Heaney's agent. She feels he would be a great addition to the ball club. 35 years old, 74 overall? Yeah, no. I don't agree. Due to budgetary constraints, J.P. Crawford will be removed. So we can't afford J.P. Crawford anymore. Not that we were going to go after him. We have $12.59 million to spend. I don't really think we have anybody that we could just, like, trade. I mean, I guess if we sign somebody, we could get rid of Grisham. But I think we're pretty much locked into what we have here. There's no, like, real easy opportunity to, like, free up money aside from possibly Grisham if we could find a buyer for him. But aside from that, I think we're pretty limited with what we can do here budget-wise. as we can't afford any of these starters. Luis Garcia is the best starter we can get here. Not exactly desperate to get that guy. I'd rather just play Kahanowitz at that point. I mean, yeah, any of these guys, Kahanowitz would be better than, so I think we're just going to go either Kahanowitz or Silseth as that fifth spot, or maybe even Rivera. When it comes to the relievers, there are some arms here we could go after, but they would knock out a good chunk of our budget. So we'll have to consider that when offering some of these relievers. We don't need a catcher, obviously. We don't need a first baseman. We're not going to sign another infielder. If we sign anybody, it's going to be an outfielder to play center field for us, and then we can trade Grisham for just anything, just like a reliever dump or something like that. But, I mean, none of these guys are left fielders. Bellinger, obviously, we can't afford. Tyrone Taylor is like a worse Grisham. He doesn't have the discipline that Grisham has. Not as good in the center either. Stuart Fairchild, we're not going to get him to overtake Grisham. Pache is a okay against lefties, really, really good glove. I don't think we want him to be our center fielder either. Michael A. Taylor, not going to be him. Dane Myers, not going to be him. Azekar, not going to be him. And now we're just starting to get down to like some real like degenerate sort of center field options. Not interested in any of those guys. Adolis Garcia, not a center fielder. We can't afford him, it says, but I don't think we're going to go after him. Jake Fraley's not a center fielder. Sean Bouchard is not a center fielder. And then none of these guys are people we want starting for us. So yeah, I'm thinking, unless there's like an infielder relief, or an infielder like a utility guy who could be like a starting center fielder for us, I don't think we're going to be... Yeah, I don't think Dylan Moore is going to be like a starting center fielder type. He can't even play center, so we would be like cheesing that if we put him at center field. Yeah, there's just no option, so I think we're stuck with Grisham in center field this year for another season. And I think what we're going to be going after here at the moment is a reliever to beef up our bullpen. We could go after one of these closers like Bednar or somebody. I want to keep playing Joyce as our closer, but we could move one of these guys to a setup role like Bednar. Or maybe we have Bednar close for us and we push Joyce into the setup role because Bednar has been really, really good in this universe. Could be an option. He would take out a good chunk of our budget, though. I mean, most of these guys would. Pete Fairbanks a bit older, but we like him. On the reliever side of things, there's AJ Puck who wants a 2-year deal. Kevin Ginkel. I mean, that's coming off a sub-2 ERA season. 3 FIP the past 2 years, though, so getting a bit lucky with the ERA. Doesn't give up home runs, though. That is big time as a reliever, especially. Evan Phillips could be interesting. We could bring back Dominguez, although I think with the options we have this year, I think we'd rather have somebody like Ginkel or Phillips or Bednar than we would Dominguez. Keegan Akin could be fun. We could bring in Keegan Akin. We all know I'm a big Keegan Akin guy. I mean, Phillips looks really good, man. 3.23 FIP. Ginkel's having the better results, though, with that 3 FIP. And then on the closing side of things, you've got Bednar, who has the 2 ERA with the 2 FIP. I mean, that is... I think when it comes to all of them together, it's probably like... I mean, Ginkel might be better than Bednar. I mean, they're all really good. They're all really good. I mean, that 95 home runs per 9 really, really makes me kind of want to go Ginkel. But Phillips does have that crazy stuff. Overall, just across the board, very, very solid looking. But he doesn't have that 95 home runs per 9. I think we're going to go Ginkel. I think we're going to offer Ginkel, who we can't even offer. You know, let's just put both of them on there. Since we can't offer any of these guys anyways, let's just go Ginkel, Phillips. We can't offer any of them at the moment. We should change our motivational needs. We can't go after a starter because we can't afford any. We already got our shortstop, so we should go reliever. Where the hell's reliever? Reliever. And I guess just throw a starter on there just because why not, and then we'll put center on there because why not. And we've already got Ginkel up to a 56, and he's got multiple teams talking to him, including the Mariners. So I think we're gonna offer the Gink here a contract. Maybe bump that up to like 9.49. We get that 63% motivation for the offer here, 1 year. Let's give it to him. As it's time here for the draft lottery, we have the 16th best odds at the number 1 overall pick. Can we have a huge jump? We get the simulating draft lottery graphic as we stay put at 16. Nobody's really huge movers this year. The Rockies kind of getting screwed over, dropping down to 4th. But overall, nothing too crazy there as the Cardinals get the number 1 overall pick. White Sox 2, Royals 3, Rockies 4, and Astros in 5th. Us with 16th overall this season. We have a contract decision incoming. Who is it? Kevin Ginkel has joined the Angels, and he has the same mom as everybody else from last offseason. 1 year, $9.4 million for a season. The Gink has joined our squad. We have another free agent off the board as Kevin Gausman is returning to the San Francisco Giants on a 2-year deal for $24.3 million. He spent a bit of that, he spent 2 years with the Giants in 2020, and then in 2021, that weird, fluky year the Giants had as an overall team. He was one of the non-fluky parts about that team, but now returning to the Bay Area. And then Garrett Crochet has finally signed. He's going to be going to the Big Apple over in Flushing, the New York Mets, on an 8-year, $241.2 million deal for the 27-year-old left-hander. Crazy. And we are now here at the arbitration phase where the panels go through. So Jose Soriano, the panel sided with him. He will be making $4.3 million this season. Ben Joyce, the panel sided with him. He'll be making $4.7. That's a big increase for him. The panel sided with the Angels on Brujan, $1.5 million for him. And Camilo Doval getting $7.5 million this season. Sam Bachman getting $800,000 flat. And Victor Gonzalez getting $8,490. And then we have our final rounds of Reed Detmers getting $12.46 million in arbitration this season for Reed Detmers. We need him to live up to that, or else he's gonzo next season. Alrighty, so we're going to be doing 2 trades here. One of them, the first one here, is necessary to make the other one. We are indeed dumping Trent Grisham to the New York Yankees. He has 1 year left on his deal. Obviously, it was disappointing for us this past season. He was okay, solid enough for the Yankees the previous year. And the Yankees are currently trotting out Daz Cameron every day in center field. So I feel like, hey, at the very least, he's the strong side platoon, Grisham, and then Cameron platoons against lefties. Or maybe it's just, you don't want this glove playing center field for you every day. So Grisham gives them the glove they want in center field. He goes back to a team he's familiar with. And all we get in return is a just random minor league reliever who we don't have to add to the 40-man roster in Thatcher Hurd, 24 years old. Maybe he develops somewhere down the line, but he's just kind of like a reliever dump. So we get him, they get Trent Grisham because he has no value, and we're just trying to open up money on our team here. So Trent Grisham going to the New York Yankees, and now in response, we need ourselves a center fielder because as much as we like Isaac Collins here, don't really want to start him in center. Nelson Rada could start potentially at some point this season. Kellen Lindsey, maybe not this season, but maybe somewhere down the line. So Isaac Collins, not looking to start him, but we are looking to pick up somebody with some team control here, and we're going to be giving up Chase Silseth because as it stands right now, the big league roster to start the season is going to be McClanahan, Klassen, Detmers, Dana, and Kahanowitz in the rotation. And then in the bullpen, you'll have 8 arms, so it'll be Doval, Ginkel, Soriano, Johnson, Kikuchi, Bachman, and then the 8th will be Ben Joyce. So you'll have those 8 guys there. That means there's no room for Chase Silseth in the big leagues, and Chase Silseth has no options. So we're going to have to be waiving him and try to pass him through minors, or pass him through waivers if you want to keep him in the system. So rather than do that, I feel like we should just try to get like a useful for useful sort of trade where Chase Silseth gets to go and pitch in somebody's rotation. That team being the Detroit Tigers here. You can see they've got some spots where he could fit in. Olsen, Giolito. It looks like they've maybe signed a couple guys since I've looked at this on one-year deals. Like, I guess maybe they signed Giolito this year, who's, he's been not great. Tyone, who was coming off a bad season. Okay, so I guess they've signed a bunch of veterans guys. I was looking at this before, and they had the guy I wanted to trade for was not on an arbitration deal, and for whatever reason I wasn't able to trade for him. I could have sworn in last offseason I was able to trade for somebody, even when they weren't through arbitration. Like, they hadn't gotten their number yet, but I don't know. Maybe I did it too late or something. I don't know. But I think we're still going to do this. Silseth to the Tigers. They get a younger team-controllable guy who's probably going to be in the rotation, instead of one of these, 30-plus-year-old dudes, and could maybe be a decent starter for them. And Chase Silseth. So he's going to go to Detroit, and we are going to get one of their center fielders they don't need. Not Akil Baddoo. I thought about Akil Baddoo because he is interesting bat, but I feel like it's really just going to be like running back, a Kelnick type bat for us, and he's not as good in center as you would hope for that position. Whereas Wenceel Perez, who is listed as a center fielder here, very good defensively, can play all over the diamond as well and gives you some switch hitting. Hasn't ever hit well for them. He had 500 ABs for them this past season, did not do well offensively, but I would be willing to give him a chance to play everyday ABs in center field for us, simply because he's more team controllable, he's younger than Trent Grisham. You look at his attributes, and he could possibly put it together with us. So they're not using him. They got Max Clark in center. They got Kerry Carpenter in right. They got Vierling in left. They don't need a guy like this. They've got a bunch of, sort of that type of player that they don't need Wenceel Perez. So we're going to get Wenceel Perez. They're going to get Chase Silseth. And it's going to be a one-for-one swap, as Wenceel Perez is now our center fielder. So we are now here in the end of the offseason. It is spring training, and just a quick scroll through our 40-man roster here. Some of these guys might not make the opening day team because some of them do have 3-3 options, and we'll have to waive them and pass them through, or maybe we do some trades. But as of right now, these are the 39 players we have on our 40-man roster. Mike Trout, Zach Neto, Hassan Kim, Ben Joyce, Shane McClanahan, Logan O'Hoppe, Camilo Doval, Kevin Ginkel, Reed Detmers, George Klassen, Nolan Shawnwell, Caden Dana, Ryan Johnson, Jack Kahanowitz, Jose Soriano, Lamont Wade, Ian Anderson, Dylan Carlson, Wenceel Perez, Sam Bachman, Hans Kraus, Yusei Kikuchi, Curtis Mead, Luis Arias, Vidal Brujan, Gustavo Campero, Craig Yoho, Calvin Caceres, Alec Jacob, Christian Moore, Nick Prado. He's one of the 3-3 options guys, just a heads up. Cooper Ingle, Hunter Bishop, Travis Blankenhorn, another one of the 3-3 options guys. Isaac Collins, Cole Fontenelle, Brewer Hickland, who we picked up on a cheap one-year deal as a team controllable, only signed to $1.6 million, 31 years old, has some options, and looks like he could be a decent bat against lefties. He was an outfielder. We made him an outfielder first baseman. Maybe he plays for us, maybe he doesn't. Matthew Lugo, and then Cooper Hummel is still around for us as well. So those are the 39 dudes we've got right now. As always, ignore what their appearances and numbers are, or not appearances, but their equipment and their numbers, especially for the new guys. I will be going through and giving them what they're actually going to be wearing, and you will see that all in the next episode as we get ready for the 2027 campaign, Season 3 here in the Angels. So with that being said, that's going to wrap things up here for this edition of the Angels. I've been your host, JerseyBorn, and I'm saying this episode should be coming out a couple days after the Home Run Derby. I'm speaking it into existence. I'm either going to look like a dummy or I'm going to look like a genius. Big Dumper winning it.